Welcome to the Happiness Happens podcast. I'm Simona Nicole, host of the show, mindset coach, and motivational speaker. I've made it my mission to help you get unstuck, shift your mindset, and understand your worth to help you live your most purposeful life. Each week, I will bring you an idea, guest, or a positive thought that will leave you inspired and empowered to win your life. We decide the stories we tell ourselves and where we invest our energy. I'm so grateful you popped in. Now let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Happiness Happens podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. I'm so excited for you to hear today's guest. His name is Zain, and Zain and I have actually just been chatting for the last 15 minutes and talking about all this amazing stuff, and I didn't hit record. So we are going to go dive back into it again, but I do want to let you know a little bit about Zain before we dive in. He started out as a graphic designer in 2006, and when he started college, he was actively engaged in graphic design, but one class in particular opened up his creativity, and the way that he looked at art had been completely changed. Prior to that course, he assumed that art was something no more than an aesthetically pleasing painting, drawing, sculpture, and photography. At the completion of the course, he began thinking of art in a different light, and photography means to paint with light, and he soon realized that there was way more to photography than pressing a button. He realized the goal of an artist is not simply to create a beautiful picture, but rather express opinions, ideas, and feelings to a viewer. And this is when he began to think of art as a movement of the soul and mind that is brought to life through his work. He has a decade of his photography journey in magazines, fashion, editorials, commercials, and brand companies. Zain, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here today.
I am happy to be on the show.
It's going to be so fun. Oh my God, pleasure is all mine. This is going to be such a good conversation because I'm going to ask you that same question that we were just talking about again. But I do want to know first, a little bit more, if you could just share with our listeners, just a little bit more of your journey and like how you got to where you are today.
So pretty much how I got here to like today. So let's start in the beginning. So when I was younger, in the single digits, I used to watch movies all the time. And that usually was like my babysitter at some point because I would just stay in front of the screen and just watch action movies, horror movies. When I was, I think, 3 years old, my dad was showing me letting me watch Tales of the Crypt. Now, at this point, a lot of people probably were scared. I am nullified of horror movies.
Oh my God.
Which is insane.
I don't know how you are because I think I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre when I was like 10 and it really like fucked me up for the rest of my life.
For you?
Yeah, that was it. I was like, and I watched it in Florida in my cousin's bed. Her and I were watching it, and I think I power ate an entire bag of chips at like 10 years old. Oh my God. Anyways, keep going.
No, it's insane because, I've been watching it at a young age. So seeing horror movies, like I still try to get scared. But because I overanalyze certain situations, it's tough. Like I have to really oh, I didn't see that one coming. Uh-oh. But some
but
of them really,
but
I did. But like the only thing that really scares me is like cannibalism in movies. Like that, it doesn't matter what it is. I don't care how cheesy it is, but that's what scares me. Like monster movies, this times when I'm eating like spaghetti, watching like people just get torn apart. I'm just like, oh my God, that's crazy. That's crazy. And it's just like I've been nullified for years watching these movies. So then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna, as I got older, I was like, I want to write stories. So then I started writing stories. And I was also a good, artist, and I used to draw characters and then write stories. Wow. I actually started working on a story called Lost Chapters when I was 16, and I wrote like 100 and I think 10 pages in 2 months, and which is insane to me. And that was all. Wow. Like soccer practice, went home and wrote. Soccer practice, went home and wrote, and that was literally for 2 months.
Wow.
And I finished the book, and then I was like, wow. So then I did 2 more volumes later. So my mom was like, oh, why don't you finish it? And the funny part was Lost Chapter was supposed to be a pioneer for me to create other books, but it ended up growing on its own. So I have to, again, at this age, go back to it and kind of rewrite it, because how I wrote it was at a 16-year-old's mind, but
Yeah.
it was still insane. And I wrote down all the characters and their profiles and everything, like, and it's still like
Wow.
cycles in my head every day. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing that. But now that I'm doing film, like, no, actually, it went to like photography, and I was like, I want to take pictures. So I started taking pictures, and I started, and then eventually I got into editorial, doing magazine, and then I realized that was fun. It was cool, and I got to take ideas from my head, and it would just bleed into my photography. No one
Mm-hmm.
would know like where the ideas and inspiration came from, but it really came from the stories that I wrote when I was younger, and I just
Wow.
brought it into reality. So then I was saying to myself, what's the next step on me getting things out? And I figured, why not just do a movie or something? Because I was inspired because I helped a friend out with her project, and it was Infliction. So then when I did that project, and I was like, you know what? I want to do my own short story. So then I came up with an idea that was supposed to be a short, like I'm talking like a 5 minute, 4 minute short, which was a guy goes on a date with a girl,
Mm-hmm.
and then he I guess he said something wrong after the date was done, because the date was going well. um and then all of a sudden, he puts her in the car to lift. She drives off. He turns around. He says something in a text, but I think that what he had sent to the text wasn't to her. It was actually to his friend. And then all of a sudden, the car behind him, you hear. "Ah." He turns around, the car is stopped with the brake lights on. He goes to the car, checks the back seat, no one's there. Goes to the front, notices the driver's throat is slit. And he's like, what the hell's going on? As soon as he lifts up, turns around, she's behind him. She pretty much stabs him, pushes him in the car, continues to stab him. And then you just see the camera just like going backwards and whatnot. And you see his body getting like kind of dragged into the car. And then the car just drives off, and that was it. But
Did you create this one?
yeah, I did. But the thing was how it happened. So when I did the actual short film, because I did the whole film in reverse. So I took the ending was the ending, but I had to build up into the ending.
Okay.
So then when I did that, I said, you know what? He was really supposed to die. So at the end of it, she drugs him, and then she puts him in the trunk, and then she closes it. Before she closes it, she says, welcome to the midnight chase, and then closes it. And then that was the end of the short. People lost their mind when I did that. And they're like, what? What do you mean? What's going to happen next? Ah!
Oh my
Yeah.
God. How long ago did you create this?
That I created, it was released in 2019, and I started filming it in 2018.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Is it
Yep,
on your YouTube?
it's on Amazon. Midnight Chaser.
Oh my, that's incredible. Wow. How did you get it on Amazon? That's
I had to go
incredible.
because people don't know that. Like, all right, you have to have your film, you have to have captions on it, and you just have to go. You have to fill out a form with Amazon, and then go through like the bells and whistles, and then you're good to go. And then you could sell your
Wow.
film. Yeah, it's no different than kind of like selling your book on
Yeah.
Amazon. Or doing an ebook. So they made it easier, I guess, for filmmakers because they didn't have any media. So they said, let's pump out some more content. So, other than their content, it made it easier for people like me to kind of put it out there. And I figured I don't want to do YouTube. I want to put it on Amazon so I could get, back end revenue
Oh yeah.
from that. Other than that, like that, it went from being 8 minutes originally to 33 minutes.
Oh my God, I'm gonna watch it. I want to watch it tonight. Is it still
Yeah,
there? I can
definitely
watch it
watch
like
it.
on Prime Video?
Yeah, if you type it in, and it was crazy because I completely forgot. I knew it was on Amazon. So then one day I was with my girl, and then we were on the Fire Stick, and I'm scrolling, and all of a sudden I see my film on the Fire Stick, and I just lost my mind. I was like, "That's my film! I'm on the Fire Stick! I made it!"
Oh my God, that's so incredible. What a feeling. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so I guess like out of that story, like what would you say to like someone who, you know, is wanting to do the same thing? Maybe they want to do like that same, you know, same thing that you're doing, creating films, creating content, create like doing photography, you know, really getting their work out there, but they don't like know how to get it out there, you know, or they're scared, maybe they're scared to get it out there or like to take the first step. Like what would you say to them to
I
encourage them?
honestly, for the first step, honestly, I would say, you know what, you gotta know what your limit is, but you gotta run. I was gonna say you gotta run before you can walk
Yeah.
and whatnot. So I feel like if I never started, like my initial goal was gonna be an 8-minute project, and I wrote it out, and I knew one page equaled 1 minute, but for some reason it just grew
Mm.
on me, and I just kept on writing until it was finished, opposed to let me just cut it short. So then I realized it was a learning process by creating a process because I learned how to film and how to organize because I was on doing a short film for another project.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really, that was like, I did like videos, but I never was like on a film project doing dialogue and all that.
Yeah.
So then I took that experience and I brought it to my own project. And then I realized a lot of things in terms of directing. 'Cause I had to direct, I had to write, I had to film, I had to
Wow.
cast. So it was a lot of things it was a lot of hats that I had to learn. But I feel like if you never try new things, how will you know what your niche is? Like I didn't know that I would be like I knew I was good at stories, but like visually telling the story is a completely different thing. And I was like, oh wow, actually I nailed it. Like, you know, I did it. You know, and I feel like people should just start. Like if they want to do a podcast, then record yourself for 5 minutes. And if that's too short for you, then do 10 minutes. Because people start off so big and get like overwhelmed. But I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe you should start off small. And if that's too little for you, then that's when you know, spread your wings a little high.
I love
You
that.
know?
I think that's such a good point too, because I think that people are always like chasing like the end result. You know what I mean? Like they're always wanting to go like, okay, let's say you start a podcast, for example. A lot of people start the podcast with the intention of like, okay, I want to monetize it so I can make money. But like, then there's nothing wrong with that. Like if that's what you want to do. But, you know, I think like personally speaking, like I think that the best things and the most successful things are the ones that are done out of passion and love, and like the ones that are done with actual care behind it and, you know, purpose, right? Because you can do anything, like you could really do anything that you put your mind to, but you know, when you actually care and when you really want it, it's different. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how much work it's going to take, it's different because it's yours and you love it, right?
Exactly. You're not gonna slow down because like Midnight Chaser was just a passion in terms of like it was my idea that I was actually working toward the ending. Like I knew the ending was gonna be bombtacular because it started with the ending and I spent a lot of time with the ending. So everything else building towards it was just it was like kind of it was fun. It was like a fun process building these obstacles until the last hammer. And then I had to the interesting process with that because it was kind of like a suspense mystery. What happened was I had to trick myself and mislead myself to thinking what was gonna actually happen at the end.
Mm.
And that for me, so if I trick myself, then I can easily trick the audience. So how I did it, I can't even spoil it for you. But what happened was I threw a monkey wrench in the whole equation and it threw a lot of people off, but it threw me off first. And then I was like, all right, that was the perfect way to mislead people to thinking one thing and another, and like one thing and another. And I did that with each date. We kind of threw you off because the whole concept was he goes on like 3 dates, and then one of them is a serial killer, but you don't know who.
Oh my God, that's so good. I
Yeah.
love that. That's amazing. I sincerely cannot wait to go and watch this. I'm very excited, and I will report back. And so from there in 2019, like after you released this film, I know there's so many other things that you've done in between. Um, you know, from that part of your journey, how did it sort of like evolve into where you are now? Because I know you do a lot of photography, and I know you do like different style of photography. You have your magazine as well, and then you have like the filmmaking. So did that kind of like sort of jumpstart a new direction for you? Like, are you sort of like loving the film industry a little bit more, or was that always like the main passion?
It was always the main passion. I don't know. It's funny because if I didn't do photography, because photography, I'm surprised that it even popped up. It actually cut in line in front of filmmaking, but I never took that step. So by doing photography, it helped me kind of be a better cinematographer and
Mm,
also understand lighting and also dealing with people and talking and communicate. Because I was a super introvert when I was being a photographer starting off.
yeah.
So I can only imagine me being an introvert and then going into the film industry and then being accustomed to it. Because
Yeah.
there's no reason why a cinematographer needs to be an extrovert. There's not, it's not a thing. You know, like you actually, if you like dealing with business, but you don't know, like a lot of cinematographers just jumping into the scene and kind of being out there. They usually, as you know, as layman's terms, just behind the camera and taking, doing what they got to do.
Yeah.
Now, being a photographer, I did a lot of weddings. So I had to be a super extrovert in order to, appease my clients.
Yep.
So that helped to break me out of the shell even more. And then when I did cinematography, I was able to break out and also communicate to actors and actresses as a director. So it was just like the
Mm,
experiences that I learned from a photographer, being a photographer, it kind of helped kind of me encourage doing filmmaking. Like, yo, just you know what it takes to start this business in terms of filming. So let's apply this to filmmaking and start off small. So that's when anyone who had small projects, I would jump on that opposed to me just jumping on like a feature film project. Because there's so many terms and lingos that I've learned when I first started,
mhm.
and then I'm still learning it now. And it's just mind blowing to me that it's just like people are convinced that you need like a whole 100 people crew or this, you need that just to start. I'm like, really don't? And you just have to start small. Like you don't need the best camera, and that's what you always hear in my film is what camera do you got? What camera do you use? You
Mhm.
could honestly just use your cell phone, which has been proven with many filmmakers, because it's not about the gear, it's about what you got up here and the passion for you to actually do it. Because if you don't, you can have a red camera, which is this is like that's like the camera that a lot of people want to have and whatnot when they're starting off as a filmmaker. It's like 20K plus for that camera, and that's just the body. Everything else is like 2,000 a year, 5,000. It's like
Oh
pretty
my
much you're buying
God.
extra stuff just for to make it work, which is
Oh,
nuts. That's like I think an extra 15K just
wow.
for the accessories on top of that 20,000 that you spent on the body. Nuts, absolutely nuts.
And
But
here we are with the cell phone.
exactly, and we have our cell phones that we could do the. So imagine a person that says, "I'm shooting this camera and I'm and and you're not ready or you're just not doing anything versus
Mhm.
someone who has the camera saying I'm going to film a lot of things with my phone. I don't have to
Mhm.
worry about equipment or crew. I can
Mhm.
shoot a whole documentary on my phone. And the most important thing is the audio. If your audio is amazing, then people are going to watch your footage and then that's it.
Exactly.
No one's
Exactly.
asking what kind of camera you got, what did you film it on. Only people like the filmmakers might want to know, but in reality, you start to fade away from asking what camera that you use. It's kind of like you're a writer, and I ask you what kind of computer do you use? What?
What kind of pen do you use? No, I'm just
What
kidding.
kind of pen do you use? What do you mean? Like I used to be like that when I started drawing. Like what kind of it does make a difference, but like I had my friend, she's like, listen, you want a water paint? You don't need all that. Get this basic stuff. And I was gonna get this $100 paint set. She's like, no, get this $10 paint set, and it literally does the same effect, and the colors pop even more. And I listened to her, and I'll save so much money just by listening
Honestly,
to her. It's not about the gear. It's about, just getting it done. If you want to paint, just paint. If you want to draw, I used to doodle all the time with my pen in my books. I didn't think about, oh, I need a special doodle pen to
yeah.
do all this stuff. Like just get it done. And I feel like a lot of people kind of they push themselves back. The world doesn't do it for you. You do it. Like just kind of if you like it, then go for it and explore it and start to, fail. Fail as much as you possibly can. That's the best way to do it because you
So
learn so
true.
much in failure. You don't learn when you're always winning.
Hmm. That's actually such a good point. And it makes me wonder, like, what types of like failures or struggles have you faced in, everything that you've done? I don't know if you have like one example or like two or three or four, whatever. I know I have like a
It's like
billion
a whole
failures
bunch.
personally, but because that's the way you grow, right? And
Yeah.
like, while experiencing that failure or, getting through like what was it that what was it that helped you shift to get to the other side?
I think the when I started was the like just talking to people. I
Mm,
think I don't know, I felt like because like I was very distant. So then I don't like to fake like trying to talk to you or like you and then have a conversation with you if I'm not for
feeling
it,
it.
you
Yeah.
know? And I realized that in the process it's just about communicating a
Mm,
different way. It doesn't have to be like you like them type of tone. It could just be the fact that you're just trying to relay a message. So I think I was learning how to like say I had an actor that was an asshole, and instead of me just kind of just going at their neck, I said, you know what? Let me communicate in a way where they understand because apparently what I'm saying is kind of it's going over their head. So
mm-hmm.
maybe let me just break it down like this for them. Maybe they'll understand. And then sometimes they're like you have to slow things down a bit. And if it doesn't work, then I was like, hey, like I try my best, and if this is not for you, then maybe we could work on another project another time.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of me just like deep down inside, I just wanted to go off, but I realized in situations maybe they just don't know how to communicate themselves. And for me to
So
respond
true.
in the way that they're coming at me, it's not going to help the situation altogether. Like you're yelling, I'm yelling, and then what did we learn? Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. So I figured I think I was learning how to communicate better, and then other failures. I think what was it? Obviously, everybody has to deal with self-doubt, but I think the
Mm,
doubting part really came from I was comparing myself to major like magazines. So instead of just focusing on my magazine direction I wanted, I was trying to kind of piggyback. Like, what's Vogue doing? What are they doing? What kind of shoes do they have? And then I was steering away from my encouraging natural beauty campaign, and I was like, that's my mission statement is that yeah I'm going for Vogue looks, and that's their
complete
kind of
opposite.
it's complete opposite. So I had to
Yeah.
slow things down, and then I had to focus on what path that I wanted the magazine to
Mm,
go in. And then I had a model. I had a model elite group, which I gave I brought that back again. So what had happened was the group that I had, there were a lot of new female talent models and whatnot. Everything was going great, but then I had clubs hit me up to be in clubs. They would hit me up because they knew that they would. And then I realized that's not the kind of message that I wanted them to be in the clubs on. Because they really
yeah.
only had hit me up to promote their club by using the models that I had.
Uh,
So then I said, nah, we're not doing this no more. So I did
no.
like twice, and then that was it. And then that
Huh.
was it. I stopped doing it because I realized that I wasn't doing justice to them, and I was sure as hell I wasn't doing justice for myself.
No.
And I was like, and it would have been such an easy way to shoot up the ladder, and that was 2015.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then I just brought them back. Not all of them like made it because I had I had to see who was real, who wasn't.
Yeah.
But like 5 years it took to come back.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that's
So
such a good point too, though, because it's like sometimes like some things are the right timing, and then some things like lead you to a place to sort of teach you something, and then after you've experienced it, it's like, okay, wow, what did I learn from this? All the things that I don't want to do. And then, a few years later, your path kind of like redirects you to where you were before, but in a different way. And I see this a lot in like the coaching space too. And like, I'm in the coaching business, coaching industry, but I see that a lot too. Like exactly what you were saying, like a lot of people will go and try and copy what all the leaders do, what all of these people do. And, oh, look, they're getting all these sales, they're doing all this stuff. So like, I'm going to follow what they do. But I think when you do that in like any industry, you take away like what makes you, you know what I mean? You take away like the creativity that only like you can bring. So I don't know. I just think that there's so many like similarities, and that you were talking about with Vogue before, like, yeah, you could have done so much stuff with that and done so many different things. And you followed your own path in the way that you wanted to do it. So I love that.
I think you froze for a minute.
Oh no, you froze too on my end. I was like, I'm hoping that you can still hear what I'm saying. It still recorded it, so I don't know if you heard any of that though, but did you hear any of it or no?
I know you just went blank. I think when you were saying like when other companies you try to copy other companies, and then that was when.
Yeah. Okay. So like what I was saying is like, people will go and like look at the more successful people, look at who's already made it, who's already done it, who's bringing in, all this money, like regardless of what industry you're in. And then people go and like try and copy that. And then it doesn't really work, Oh, I think I lost you again. Come back. Intermission.
See, they don't want us to be great.
It froze again.
They don't want us to be great.
It froze. What were you saying? It froze when you were talking.
No, I said something and then I waited and then you started talking. I was like, all right, she's gonna get to the point that she was saying, and I waited, and the next one I know, froze. I'm like,
oh, that's okay. That's okay. We pick back up. So, okay. So tell me about actually I want to know, out of all the media that you do, out of all the different things that you do, because you have the magazine and you have the films, you have the photography, which one is your favorite one and why?
that's gonna be tough because I started with the filming 2016, and then for the magazine I started with the photography in 2013. I would have to say, honestly, it's gonna be tough. I don't know. I like photography. I like photography, and I also like film. I'm gonna have to say photography.
Yeah?
I'm gonna have to say photography. I do like the filming, but I feel like I haven't dabbled in it enough to even give it like, oh yeah, I like this one, because I've worked with visual media much longer than film. So anything arts wise, like pictures or drawing wise, like I consider photography in that same category. So I'm gonna have to say that, because as much as I want to, I'm starting to take my photography ideas, translate it into film.
Yeah.
Instead of the opposite. So I would have to say I draw most of my inspiration from like the photography that I've done. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to say photography, because that one I have more passion for it, and I could I think capturing a moment in a picture to me is more impactful than a video that's in motion. Because you stare at it long enough and you start to think more and start to analyze it, and it's just there, like a single frame just looking at it.
Yeah. And like I love that you said that so much, because with like photography, you have, let's say you have like, pictures of a memory. You look back on that photo and you can instantly be brought back to like that feeling and that place and that moment, you know, where maybe you can't necessarily do that with like film, but you know, with photography, like you look at something and you can feel like you're there. If it's a photo of you, or if it's like something else, then you can imagine what like emotion would be coming through on that, or like, you know, what story is trying to be told in that photo.
Exactly.
It's so
And
cool.
it just changed the whole dynamics of how you interact. Like you said, like you could pull out a picture, but unless you're pulling out your phone to find a video, it's faster. You could put a piece of like a picture inside your wallet opposed to like a video. Like maybe in the future, you know, you could pull out something and then like a hologram comes out. I mean, we're not too far off.
It's true. We're not.
We're getting there.
We're really not. So, okay, you also have the Therapy Without a Degree podcast, right?
Yes.
You are also a co-host on that as well. Honestly, Zain, like how do you find the time to do all of these different things? Like how do you organize like your time?
My time, my day. I do a lot, you know, it's crazy. I do a lot of things in the day. I just don't like, if I were to actually like have like a little clicker for new things that I do, I probably have a sore thumb by the end of like by noon. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like either doing this or this project, so it's time management. So honestly, I what I do is I ask what time is needed from me, and what do I need to do, like continuously, and then I put that in the calendar. Opposed to like just kind of going like whatever with the flow. Like I'm not like I go with the flow, but I'm not that I go with the flow type of dude. So like you let me know, and so I could be dedicated to be like I'm gonna be there, so we could do this. You know, like the Fridays is when we do the podcast.
Yeah.
And then sometimes on like I think every other Friday we would go to the city, and we would do Throwback Thursdays, you know, and then we kind of get content for that. And then anybody who had failed, they're like, what did you fail at and what did you learn from it? So those are all planned stuff. And then I have my stuff in plan. So I was like, so I have a set schedule. And then when the quarantine happened, I really had to double down. So I had a tight knit schedule. So I had to wait because I was waking up at like 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Oh my God.
Super lazy for me, especially. It was like, and it made it worse because the days weren't even days, and like the week was just like the next day. Like everything was just gray.
Yes.
I was like, what is the end? Like there's no start to the new week.
No. And like nothing, you're not wrapping up anything. Like there's no like Friday you go out with your friends, like none of that. And like my fiance and I were literally just like cracking drinks at like 3 p.m. and we were like, what's happening over here? And then finally after after 2 weeks, I think we were like, okay, you know what, that was fun. Like that was a fun vacation for a little bit, but like we cannot keep doing this for the entire next 4 months or whatever, however long this is gonna last, because you know.
Yeah, and just think about that. We couldn't even last 2 weeks doing nothing.
Yeah.
And we try to go on vacation for longer than that. We would get bored.
Yeah.
Like we can't do that.
Yeah.
Like we have, and then and that's why I said like retirement is really supposed to be short term. Like if you want to take a break, maybe be a month off, but then go right back to work, but doing something different that's not taxing on your body as much. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't see myself doing nothing for more than 24 hours, let alone 2 weeks or the rest of my life.
I so hear what you're saying. And I think like the quarantine for me was like, because I work full time as well, like it was this big opportunity to like actually like, you know, be in my business every single day, like constant. And it was awesome because it was like, okay, like this is what it would be like, you know, like when I work full time, my business, this is what's going to be like. And then I thought about it though. I'm like, you know, like this is kind of nice. Like I kind of like being, you know, home, and you don't have to rush, and you don't have to beat traffic, and you don't have to like sit there and like, you know, I don't know, be all stressed out on the road or whatever. We have really bad traffic over here, and I know you do as well over there.
Yeah, we do. I'm surprised that you have a lot of traffic over there.
I think it's actually worse than LA over here. I think that's what they said.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's kind of hard to believe. I feel like I don't know. Like I feel like in Canada it's like kind of like chill. No pun.
Nobody chills over here. Everyone is like, so go, go, go. I'm going to take a video. Okay, actually, no, I can't take a video right now because nobody's like back at work. So like actually traffic is pretty amazing right now. Like it's going pretty fast. But
Oh, sweet.
when it
Oh
gets
yeah,
back to
y'all are
regular...
actually listening. Not over
Oh,
here. It's like nothing changed. It was good for like maybe a week, and then that just went right out the window.
so true. It's so true. I want to know about this question's like a little like left field. I want to know about your like proudest moment that you ever had for yourself.
The proudest moment, other than the fact that I'm on Amazon, which was a surprising proud moment. I would say I think it was just getting the project done. And you know what I'm saying, and I would like to throw in another. So I was working on a project called Infliction, right?
Okay.
And that project started in 2016. So then we did the short. So then my friend, she was the director too and the writer. She said, I want to do a feature film. And I was like, awesome, I'm down, sign me up. So we started filming that, and Midnight Chaser was mentally in the works.
Okay.
So then when the film was done, the other director, the second director, he was supposed to edit the project. So I said, I'm done filming. I'm gonna go start filming Midnight Chaser now.
Yeah.
So I started filming Midnight Chaser, and she also is the main character in one of the main characters in Midnight Chaser. Because I said, I was like, I got a character for you, and this is the character that I'm gonna have for you. And she was like, all right, cool, let's do it. And she was free. So then she was like, yeah, like we have an issue. The second director, he's not editing the project anymore.
Oh.
I was like, what?
What?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Sorry, what?
Sorry, what was that? And the project, it's like the short was, I believe, 15 minutes.
Okay.
And we filmed the project all together. It's supposed to be an hour, like 1 hour. So there was all that footage that needed, like, so we had to come up with an hour of footage, which was already done. So pretty much we just needed someone to edit all those clips to condense it into an hour. Luckily, I wasn't really doing anything at the time. So when I started filming, I was editing a little bit as well. Because I told her, like, just let me edit. And then she wanted it to like a certain deadline. And then we didn't make that deadline. So then I kept on editing. So then it came to a point where I was editing Midnight Chaser and Infliction at the same time.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
I like 10% can understand how much work that would be, because I used to edit videos in like my corporate job, and I honestly think like a 7-minute video, you like piecing everything together, I think it used to take me like 6 hours, like for like, and that's a lot of work. And if something doesn't turn out, you know what I mean? Like if you don't get the shot that you were looking for, it's like, fuck. You know what I mean?
You gotta
like,
do a reshoot,
yeah.
or you gotta do that. And I found myself kind of looking at the project. It kind of helped me because like maybe I start to look at my work as I was editing, like, oh man, I need to film that, or I need to add certain things. So I actually started adding scenes and filming scenes because they were kind of missing for my script. And I was like, you know, maybe that'd be a good idea if I added this segment in there and then put it in Midnight Chaser. And then I was looking at her project and I realized there were certain shots that the crazy part is, here's what make it easier. As a director and you film, if you're a director that films, then the way you direct it is based on your vision. So that means you have to be there to edit based off of your vision,
right,
or what you had in mind.
Right.
That since that other person wasn't there, the only person that was editing was with me was the director. She was helping me in terms of the scenes wise and how she wanted it to go, but in terms of visual direction, the actual direction, I had to make that up. I had to do something because there was nothing there. Like I didn't film it. You know what I'm saying? It's like someone just dropped the project and be like, all right, here's the baby, now take care of it. Like what do you mean?
And you're like, sorry, where did this baby come from? Like
now it's under my name and like it lives in the house. So it takes, there's certain shots that I wouldn't have done it like that. Or there's certain things that I would have maybe shot it at a different angle or got a little closer, but I wasn't in charge. So as a cinematographer, if they say shoot that shot, then that's the shot that you shoot. You can't say let's do that shot. So those are the things that was limited. I'm like, damn, we should have got a closer shot of that. Damn, we should have done that. And then, but I had no say. So it would have made the film better. So I said, you know what? You got to work with what you got and then go from there.
Yeah.
And then, and I was doing that and Midnight Chaser, kind of both editing both films at the same time. Hers, I finished first. And then hers was finished. I had released mine in, I think, April. She had released hers in August.
Oh, wow.
And all I had to do was just edit the film, and then eventually I did the sound mixing as well. So not only did I edit the film, I filmed the film, I edited the film, and then I sound mixed for the film.
Oh,
and the only thing I didn't do was obviously the music aspect, but I was like,
are you sure? No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, right? I was thinking about it. I was like, listen, y'all need someone to do music? You know what I'm saying?
Too, sure. No problem.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, God.
So we both released on the same year.
Wow.
And I shot mine in 18 going into
19.
to 19, and then
Wow.
I finished it. Hers was on hiatus in terms of putting it together since 2017.
Oh my gosh.
So 2017, 2018, it was already done. So all we had to do was put it together. But then we were like, so why is it taking so long? And then we found out, oh, he didn't really do anything really. And I was like, I'm just doing this whole thing like from scratch.
Wow.
So then that 2019 was when I started. And then I finished it before the deadline, which was in August. But I finished it way before I launched mine.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. Yeah, it was tough. Sometimes if you organize, you eliminate anxiety.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. If you eliminate anxiety by organizing, and I felt like that was like a major issue that I was going through, was I guess I had a lot of anxiety because I kept on thinking what to do next. In reality, all I needed to do is limit the amount of goals that I need to set for myself. So I set it to 4. Once I hit that 4, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to overwhelm myself, because then what I used to do was there would be nonstop things that I would do for myself. Like, all right, this needs to be done. This needs to be done. And then I would add another thing.
Yeah.
And then I would add more. And like, it wouldn't stop. Like, oh, I'm not going to do it tomorrow. Let me just do it now. Oh, let me just do it now. And then it got to the point where I was doing so many things. And I'm like, the reason why I was so overwhelmed, I was doing like 20, 30 things in one day.
That's insane.
And then doing it the next day.
Wow.
Like, just relax.
And then you're sleeping and you're like dreaming of it.
Yes. And I couldn't really sleep well. And then it was just like I didn't have any time to like really slow down, focus. And then on top of that, the anxiety was getting crazier because I was doing the magazine at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
And then so that's why it was tough to me to do filming in general, because I had to do photo shoots and then film projects at the same time, which was tough. I had to cast for the models and I had to cast for the actors, and it was just like back and forth. So I said I was gonna actually give up the magazine. That was gonna be it. And then I talked to my uncle, and he pretty much had a conversation like, listen, man, like what you can do before you kind of, ready to, kick it out is do it every 2 months.
Oh, that's a good idea.
See how that works for you. Yeah, just do it bi-monthly. See how that works for you. And if that doesn't work, then, do what you got to do.
Exactly.
So I did the bi-monthly, and then I took a year off after. And then that helped. Because
That's
then I
really
started
good.
accumulating ideas, and then I started filming, and then that was it.
And then you get that passion back from where you started from before.
Yeah, because it was kind of like it turned from enjoyment to a chore.
Yeah, exactly.
And no one likes to do chores.
Exactly. No, nobody likes to do chores. But also, like, when you're doing that, like, the output isn't the same as what it would be if you're coming from a place of passion, right? Like, you know, you can tell the difference. Like, maybe not everybody else can on the outside, but like, you can tell the difference.
I
like,
could tell because
yeah,
I wasn't giving them the real sauce like how I would give it, and it was kind of like I just did it just to do it, and I was like, so then when I came back, I was like, oh, people don't know, but here's the funny thing: I took off in 2019, the whole year.
Wow.
I said I'm gonna come back in 2020. What a hell of a year to come back!
But actually, how's it been so far though? Good?
It's been good. When the first month it was good, and then when once March hit, it was just kaputs, and I was like, oh man. So then it took time, but I figured out what I was gonna do, and the plan was to do short 2-minute films and keep dropping that, and to bring more awareness, just so I could keep the business out there and open. Because what happened was a lot of people kind of just chill. There's models that they're like, yo, you could still do work. I know some people like photographers thinking they needed models. Models thinking they needed photographers.
Yeah.
Like, you guys could still pump out work, and they just kind of just went cold turkey.
Wow.
You know? And I understand why, because, you know, social distancing, which is important, but you could still produce content without being with anybody. And then that's when the FaceTime thing came out, which was hot for a minute. We all tried it. And then we said, nah, I don't like it. It doesn't matter who you are as a photographer or model. We all tried it. And then we were like, nah.
No.
No.
Not this.
That wasn't it.
Oh, man. Okay, so what about your newest film? Can you tell us, like, the story behind your newest film that you just released? But, I mean, by the time this episode comes out, you might have something else already that's out, but.
You said, do I have another project?
No, I was saying, like, tell us about the one that you just launched now, but then I was like, oh, but maybe by the time this comes out, it won't be your newest thing. Like, maybe you'll have something else out.
Yeah, we could talk about Amber.
I want to quickly pause this interview and tell you about the Handel Group coaches that I've had the honor and privilege of bringing onto the Happiness Happens podcast. With every conversation and interview, I've learned something so impactful and so life-changing. Inner You Life is the online coaching course from Handel Group that gives you the tools to get yourself unstuck, wildly happy, and thriving where it matters most to you. Your relationship to yourself, career, love, body, money, time, and more. From wherever, whenever. Recommended by Hugh Jackman, Dr. Mark Hyman, Forrest Whitaker, Elena Brower, and hundreds more. Taught in MIT, Stanford School of Business, and 50-plus institutes of learning across the world. Visit inneryou.coach and use the code HAPPINESSHAPPENS at checkout for $75 off. Now, back to the episode.
I completely forgot. I was like, wait, didn't we
I
talk
didn't
about
forget about Amber. It's brand new.
Yeah, it is brand new.
I love it.
It's funny. Once I drop projects, I'm like, all right, what's the next project we're working
on? Exactly. Like, what's the next thing? Move to the next.
Right? It's funny because I have a timer on my phone, which I didn't even realize.
Oh.
I have like a special timer for like certain apps, but for some reason, Zoom has a timer, and that was like the newly added app that I added. I only put timer for things that I'm on for too long, like Instagram, which is like a 3-hour
Oh, is it cutting you down? Is it counting you down?
So no, this one is like, it says like 5 minutes, but it'll let me know before it does it completely. But like, I did it for Facebook, and let me tell you, once that time hits, app is locked out for the day.
I think that happened to me when I was on your show. I think it like locked me out, and I was like, shit. And then we had to do it on WhatsApp. I think that's why we had to do it on WhatsApp, because Zoom wouldn't let me do it. It was like, that was it. So I guess, okay, we only have 5 minutes left. Okay.
Yeah, no, we can keep on going. I could just stop it.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's stressful.
Oh yeah, no, I could stop it. It won't close out unless I stop. But it was just, and Instagram is crazy because you'll be talking to someone, and all of a sudden it'll say, hey, do you want to add more time? Or I'm like, oh man, I'm out of time.
Gotta go.
Gotta go. But like for Zoom, I have to turn that part off Zoom because I'm not on Zoom. So for it to give me a timer is just interesting. But
Exactly.
it's
And
just a great way to manage your time.
if it shuts you off, we'll just come back on and finish the interview afterwards.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I'll fix that problem real quick.
Awesome.
But yeah, in terms of Amber was a project that I wanted to create something where what you thought was really not what you thought it was to begin with. So it just it was like a lot of misdirection. So you see this guy and he's putting his child down, and then he goes to the bathroom and you see blood on his hands. And you're like, what the hell's going on? Then you hear a radio go off of this woman talking about somebody had taken her child and someone stabbed her husband, and she's having this conversation with the operator, and this is on his like little record radio player. He says, what the hell is going on? So he goes out there, turns it off, and at this point you're asking questions like, wait a minute, what happened to the baby? Is that his baby? What's going on? Why does it look evil? And there's just like so many questions that's going on. And then I figured I wanted to take your typical villain or someone that's going to be the ominous thing in the dark and make them the victim. They're the ones that are retrieving what they had lost. And then that's when I came up with the title called Amber. And I even used the same font that when they send you the alarm, that's the same font that they use for Amber.
That's so cool.
Yep. And then at the end of it, the flat line was the amber noise.
Oh, I have to go back and watch it again. Now with this perspective, it's different, like hearing you talk about it and like what exactly is happening in your mind while you're filming it and while you're capturing all the shots. And like going back and watching it again is going to be so different. So I'm very excited.
There was a lot. And then there was also a cameo when he walked by the TV. That was Midnight Chaser playing on the TV.
Okay, I saw someone comment that on, I think it was like on your YouTube channel, or it was on like an Instagram post or something like that. And I was like, what's Midnight Chaser? I was like, is that a movie that I've just like never heard about before? That's so cool. So smart. I love that.
Yeah, and that scene was all red. So then it just added that was like the color that you saw on this like because you saw red and then that scene was red. But the funny thing about it was Joe was also there during that set day when we were filming. He was the boom operator.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he was in. It was like two movies at the same. Like he was in two movies, a part of two movies going on.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, Joe helps a lot in projects. He was like, yo, after seeing you, do the film, he's like, I didn't think it was tough, but this was inspiring. And he was saying that he wants to start doing it himself. And I said, yo, I'll put you in my films. And then this was his debut.
That's amazing. Yep. And Val too? Was it her debut too?
Yeah, that was her debut. Cause she didn't have anything. She did acting before, but it was on stage mostly. But this was like the first one that was like like a little short film project and whatnot.
That's so cool.
It was interesting. Now I plan to keep on doing like stuff like that. 2 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, it popped up and I took care of it.
Oh, whew, I was like, no, I was like, you're gone.
Yeah, I got it. But yeah, so I'm gonna keep doing those little projects. I also created another thing that I'm gonna be working on, which is it's a 7 genre short film project that I created. It's like a challenge. So it's a personal challenge. So each genre, and there's 7 of them, I'm gonna create a short film on them.
Okay.
So I can actually tell you exactly.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yep. So I had to sit down and break it down because I have this system on how I want to like tell my story.
Yeah.
And so what I break it down to along with the genre is the main characters, break down what their character wants and why they want it, the setting and the characters.
Oh.
And I do that for each genre. So the first one is called is a crime genre. I haven't come up with a name for it yet. And it's pretty much a detective / assassin, whoever it is. and they're trying to extract information from a criminal in the room, and they have to get this information quick before the real cops come into the room to
interrogate.
To interrogate.
Oh.
And and then the person, the criminal, doesn't want to talk, and then she's like, I can't kill him because you know what I'm saying, like she can't do the things that she could do, so she has to use her words to take care of it. So that was how, and that was like, that takes place in an interrogation room, and that's like a little short film. And then there's what you call another one. It's a fantasy. That's the second genre. That one is like it's a demon, and they're looking for like a human slayer weapon or whatnot.
Oh my
God! And they need to protect them from the human forces. And why? Merchant does go for it. Oh yeah, wow, that's crazy. So pretty much, I sometimes surprise myself. So pretty much, the human slayer weapon is a person. So the demon is trying to protect that person from human people, because that human slayer person, like, so pretty much is the reverse. So instead of demons being bad, it's like humans are bad, and this human slayer weapon is gonna help them take down the humans, and if they don't protect that human slayer weapon, then they'll all go extinct.
That's
and
insane.
The obstacles that I had in their way was a merchant that wants more than they bargained for. Like they're like, yo, I need this weapon, and now you give me, you tell me I got to do this, that, and the third, and that's they're the only person that knows where it is, So that was that for fantasy. Romance, I had like an alien humanoid where she needs to use components that they can acquire from a ship, and she wants to reunite with her husband on another planet, and then she's stuck on Earth. She's been stuck on Earth. Oh, that one! Oh my God! Simone, if you've seen the stuff that I have, it's actually pretty intense. So what happens?
I want to know, like, how does your brain think of these things? But finish this one first, and then tell me.
It's more so like once I create an outline, I fill in the blank quick. So it's like I kind of just fill out the space. But so this one is, so she came from another planet, and then she's been stuck there for a while. She meets a human, and you don't know who that human was, but apparently they had some type of intimacy. But she still wants to go home back to her husband on another planet, which is far away. So then you just see her getting hunted by like these two hunters, right? And then just as she's about to get to the ship that she needs, because she has the components to get the ship fixed up, the two hunters get there, and I think she fights one of them. But then just when you thought like she was gonna be done, because the one of the hunters pretty much had her dead to rights.
Yeah.
The other hunter shoots him in the head or just kills him. You find out that other hunter is actually the human that she was intimate with. And that's him helping her get back home.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so granted, if he did his job the first time, when she got on the planet, I guess he didn't know really, but when he found out, he's like, that it was, and the way I had it written was like, it kind of cut the fat in the beginning, so it kind of, each of my shorts kind of start where it's like coming to the end instead of it like building up into it. So that's pretty much what happens, and she's able to go back on the ship. I think she kisses him goodbye, and then she goes on the ship and she goes back to her husband and whatnot. But that was mind you, that was romance.
I don't know if that's your traditional romance. I don't know.
I was like, let me throw that in there.
Yeah, seriously, like left curve over here. I love it.
Right?
What are the significance of these like short stories for you? Like I don't know if that question makes any sense. Like, what does it mean to you to be able to produce these short films?
Honestly, it's honestly fun. It's like kind of like playing basketball or like a sports or a video game. It's like a feel good. It's like a feel good feeling
Yeah.
to like let the stories in your head out. Because I created those out of scratch. Like those
Wow.
weren't things that were in my head. It was kind of like I created like, all right, what am I gonna do with romance? And I said, what if I made her like an alien or alien humanoid or something? And then she needs the main thing that helps craft out the story is finding out what they want. So so what I do is I have each so a good story is a great character that you want to follow through the story. So it makes it easier to throw obstacles in their way. So what I have each main character, I have questions for them,
Yeah.
which is what do they want, why do they want it, what happens if they don't get it, and what obstacles are in their way. Once those
Oh.
questions are answered, everything is easy.
That's so cool. Is that like a traditional like way of like building like building a film? Like did like is this something you just learned along the way and like taught yourself, or is that something that like how people would build like a film out?
So me being on YouTube, I found a very happy spot that I'm glad I found. And there was kind of like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So I stumbled across this girl that was interviewing a writer, right? And
Oh.
with that writer, she also got lucky enough to get Will Smith. So Will Smith and the writer are both on a video chat with her,
Oh my God.
explaining the process of a story. This video has under 1 million views, under, if not less.
What?
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. So they're literally just having a conversation, and I think this is before Will Smith injected himself into social media.
Yeah.
And he was having a conversation, and the guy who's the writer has been writing for him for Will Smith's projects.
Yeah.
So I think I wouldn't be surprised if he helped write Pursuit of Happiness as well.
Oh, I love that movie.
Exactly. So he was saying that the writer was saying that he needs the story is great with the character, and then Will Smith, he jumped on that and he had expressed that he doesn't really take a role. He doesn't take a role at all if it doesn't answer these 4 questions, which is what do you want, why do you want it, what happens if you don't get it, what obstacles are in your way. He said that if those questions aren't answered, or if one of them is missing, then that character just falls through the cracks and you don't really remember them. And if you think about every role that Will Smith has taken, you can actually answer every single one of those questions. That's why it's easy to remember his characters, because you don't have to you like, as you see it, oh, I get, and now I understand him. I understand that character in the film because of things. There's a lot of films that you don't know what they want, and it's very obscure. And because I don't know what you want, it just makes it like a horror movie. You have these killers, you don't know what they want, so it makes it ominous.
Yeah.
It makes you afraid because you like they're just killing, but what do they want? And it kind of throws you off. So you have that same horror feeling with characters that are the main character, which is weird. You shouldn't have that unless And then the only thing that they piggyback on is, which is lame. Oh, horror movie. What does she want? She wants to live.
Of course.
That's just,
don't they all?
Yeah, right. They just want to live, which is great. But it's like I feel like that was just in that moment. What did she want prior to coming up with that crazy person in the first place?
Yeah.
So and that's where things get lost, and people kind of lose themselves in that nonsense where it's just like, all right, she wants to survive, and then what happens after?
Exactly.
That's why you don't remember the character. That's why you don't remember these movies, because a good and the guy had said, he mentioned it. He said a good story will put you to sleep. A great character will get you, focused on what the story, and things getting thrown at him and he's overcoming it. You like that character.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like Batman. You know Batman's character. So any obstacle that goes in his way, you're like, how is he gonna take it down? Like, you're excited. You don't care about the story. You care about the character.
The action, like the
action. Yes. And that's the story. The main character will help push the story and help focus on the story. If you don't have that, then like if you don't like the main character, like this. All right. So I saw Uncut Gems, and I didn't like the main character, but his character followed all those criteria because his character was annoying.
That's the Adam Sandler one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was meant to be annoying, and so they did their job. So they did exactly. It wasn't annoying like, oh, I don't like him. It was annoying because they did their job.
Yeah.
And annoyed me. And he annoyed the people in the film, so it made sense. But then there's other characters where it's like, I shouldn't not like you like that. I should know your intentions. It should be very clear, number one, on what you want. And I feel, and that's what's helped me keep my characters, like my stories, in check because of that. And
I love that.
So in Amber, people thought that it was Derek. That's how I named him in there. He was the main character, but he wasn't.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, he wasn't
the
main
twist.
character. That was the plot twist. It was really what she wanted. She wanted her child back, and why do they want it? That's her family. What happens if and then what's it? Why do they want it? What happens if they don't get it? Well, they'll become insane. And do some dark things.
Exactly.
You know? And the only obstacle in her way was him. But really, she just needed to find him.
Yeah.
And then that was pretty much it.
That was so
people
good.
Want a bigger story to that, which is it's easy to fill in the blanks. Like when you start off, like my short films are starting off like at the end, but it's easy to fill in the blanks because you're like, all right, I know what I put there. All I have to do is answer these questions, and then there's your movie.
Exactly. If you think about like the top 3 actors that you want to have in your films, who would they be?
Oh, that would be, it's funny, it would be tough because I have to think of what genre that it would be. Because the genre would, I was like, oh, if this movie, I'm definitely going to put it. Like, for example, I would, depend on the lead character. So I would definitely put, for that romance movie, Mila Jovovich, because she's a badass to me, and she's one of my favorite actresses. So I always follow her stuff. So depending on what the genre is, I would put them in there, and see how that works, because certain actors, they have a certain caveat about them. Like Will Smith, I could probably put him in about any of these characters.
Yeah.
But most of my characters are female leads. And I've been pushing that more, mainly because I like to have these cool stories with female leads, because not to say that the male actors are oversaturated, but I feel like it's overdue. I think it doesn't even matter if I made every single main character a female. It still wouldn't amount to the amount of guys that have been in film for lead characters.
It's so true.
So I'm just adding to the pot of putting more lead female characters, because I see characters as characters.
Yeah.
But so pretty much the story's not going to change based on the gender at all. So I can make a genderless character if I wanted to, and you would still focus on the character. And I feel like some people kind of bend the story based on
to fit
what the gender. Yeah.
That's a really good point.
I'm one of those people that are opposed to doing the cheap thing where I have a female lead, so I need a romantic character to attach to her. No, I would do there would be none. It would just be her doing her goal, and then that's it. It doesn't need to be, unless I'm doing a romance, then that would make sense. But even then, why does romance entail for a woman to always be with a guy? Why can't the romance be with something else?
Exactly.
And I feel like we gotta get more creative. It could be the love of the world. It could be a love for a dog. It could be the love of, I don't know, a place.
Different type of life,
Yeah.
Yes,
a location that she loves. Those are the things that I feel, or for a family member.
Oh, I love that.
That'd be nice to romance is, I think they feel like, oh, it's intimate. You know, it's like, but it could be anything. It'd be like a very very sweet type of movie.
Yeah.
You know, it could be
Yeah.
family oriented. It could be anything. But I'm not one of those people that kind of just stick to it. Like I did the romance one because I was like even then I was like you just saw that she had intimacy with the guy, but that was about it. It wasn't like the whole thing was I'm doing this for you and blah blah. Like she said, I
Exactly.
have to go to my husband, and she pretty much. And it was no different than if I had a male character. Like I gotta find my wife in another galaxy.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that you think about it from a different perspective. And I love that you bring in different elements like that are not just like your traditional like cookie cutter, you know, what everybody else is doing. And like, you know, it's got to be this specific way because that's the way that it's always been. You push like a boundary, you know what I mean? In a different way. Like you think about it in a different way. That's like, you know what, like, let's see it from a different perspective. And like, how can we make it different and like still really good, you know what I mean? Because I think a lot of the times like people will continue on doing what they know works because that's what's always worked, you know what I mean? But
Exactly.
then how do you make change happen? You know what I mean? Like how do you make change happen if you're always doing the same thing that has always ever been done and you're not ever doing anything to change it or to push a boundary or to do something new? How do you ever get change? How do you ever get something new if you're not willing to at least try, you know?
Exactly, and that's why I did that 7 genres so I could switch it up because I would have just done action or horror and that would have been it. I was like, you know what, so I did the romance, I have a Western thing, but they never said it couldn't be sci-fi, you know, because sci-fi is not a genre, it's and I looked it up and like the 7 main genres, science fiction is not really one of them.
Really?
So the Western is, so I said, why not make it a sci-fi and little quick was a fun fact, Star Wars is a science fiction Western. That's why it worked.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a science fiction Western. And if you think about it, you got the bounty hunter, you got the lone guy, you know, and then the horse is really the falcon, and the galaxy is the Wild West.
That's crazy. I never thought about it that way.
That's why it worked. Because back in the day, because it was made in the 70s, like Western movies were like cool. Like that was a thing. Yeah. So to make a science fiction version of that was even cooler.
That is so cool. I never knew that.
Yep. So those are the cool things I like. And then I had to make something inspirational. I'm like, how the hell do I make something inspirational? And the ideas that I say, how the hell do I do this? They end up being the longest things that I thought I had no idea how I was gonna do.
Right?
How does this happen? Like this, so an inspirational one where I had, so she creates something that changes the world. It's gonna be like a device, like a solar hydrogen device. Okay. That allows free energy, right? So she's doing this because she wants to kind of help she wants to save energy so that way people aren't spending excess amount on resources that's not needed. That way her grandma doesn't have to live in a polluted world with polluted air, because that's what's going on. So she's pretty much trying to get this taken care of, and her grandma needs more assistance and all that. So money's not really an issue, but it's an obstacle that's in her way. Right. So those are the elements in her way, and then she has to convince an investor to actually put money into the project, and then her prototype doesn't work, and those are the obstacles that you kind of throw in her way, and then that's the movie. So I said, how can I make this not like Pursuit of Happiness, and that's she's the inventor. So she herself is the inventor of the device that she's trying to sell, but it's a prototype. And her grandmother is essentially someone that raised her when she was younger. Because I don't know what happened with her parents, but her grandmother raised her since birth. And then so that person is dear to her. So she wants to kind of prove her grandmother make her grandma proud, but grandma is not one of those people that you need to really try hard to make her proud. She's already proud.
She's already
in
proud.
her heart. Yeah, she's already proud. She just feels like she needs to do more. So then her grandmother is one of those people that, like, you know, do something that everybody's getting paid to do, but it's something, but it kind of comes off as, I want you, you know, don't go on this pipe dream with, you know, the creation and whatnot. You know, you don't have to do all that. It's like, no, I can make this work. And then that's pretty much her whole concept. And that's supposed to be the inspirational genre of her kind of going forth and doing this project.
That's
and I was just
so
like,
cool.
and I was like, if I keep this up, and then the last one that I had, which is a historical, actually no, it's not the last one. Historical one is pretty much the pandemic that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it's an artist that's trying to create art in the pandemic, as we speak, and that one is like her dealing with social distancing and like the government. It's like a whole process. So the historical fiction, yeah, that one is more toward now, and I'm trying to make it like a documentary piece.
Yeah.
And then the horror one, which is the best one, is called Gemma. That's the name I'm calling it for the film. And that one is it's a movie about a cannibalistic restaurant, but you don't know that they're doing that. So you're just eating this amazing meat pie.
Oh my God.
And they've been booming in that town, but it's like a little town. It's like one of those towns that you would see in those movies where it looks like it's in the Midwest type of town.
Yeah.
So, but it's not like they're super out of date. They're like they have technology and all that, but it's one of those type of towns. So she's only there because her medication. Like, I think this is like in, I want to say in Nevada. Like she lives in the city, and then she drives to this town, and they're the only ones apparently that has the medication that she needs at the pharmacy. She needs it for this thing that kind of calms her down, because she gets angry and aggressive. Right. And she needs to win this custody battle. So these pills are going to help her kind of convince the court that she is medicated, she's taking this, and she needs to get her brother back from an abusive family. And in order for her to do this, she needs to get the medication. So she drives to this town. She goes to this town, and the guy says, we don't have the medication, so it'll be ready in a few hours. And she's like, all right, cool. Goes to a diner, starts talking to the waitress, and then she drinks this tea. She goes to her car, and then she knocks out. She wakes up on a meat hook, hanging up, and she's like, where the hell am I? And then that's when she meets this other girl that apparently had just broke herself free, breaks out the main character, Gemma, and then they have to kind of go through the gauntlet, and they only have to fight two characters. The person that got her free ends up dying, but trying to save Gemma's life. But she has to go against the butcher and then the chef.
Oh my God.
And
that's
those
wild.
are the two boss battles. Yeah. And then the chef she fight, and they're just so the butcher, he's obviously a brute, and and she's fighting him in the meat room, and then she takes him out, and then she thinks she's free, and then she fights the chef, which is a little more swift with the knife and whatnot. And then as she's doing this, she's getting more aggressive because she's not on her medication.
Oh my God, plot twist.
Yeah, so now she's really
it.
getting, so she was calm before that you see, and then you just see her getting aggressive, but that aggression is now a little off because, wait a minute, she's on medication. So now you're not helping this situation because you're pissing her off. So then that's kind of like her adrenaline rush. And then she takes him out, and then she puts the close sign, and I think she left a note because she took them both out. And then she goes to the diner. No, she goes to get her medication. And then she goes back to the diner, finds the waitress, and then leaves her hanging up in this restaurant that has the close sign.
That's so messed up, and I love it.
Yeah. And then she just leaves, and then that's pretty much it. And that's the end of the what you call the short. But that restaurant it had the special meats. Was that, and I was like, yo, that, because I had to write a horror movie that was scary to me.
Yeah.
And since cannibalism is scary to me, then
Yeah.
that's when all the ideas came coming out of my head, like, oh, this would be crazy if this happened, and blah blah. And then that was pretty much the movie.
Oh my
Like
God, I
that was,
love that.
and those are shorts. It's not even a
That's
full
so
movie.
cool.
I would
So
love to make that a whole movie.
I totally think that one could be a whole movie. I think it could. But I'm curious, like, and I have two more questions for you, but this would be the second last one. I'm curious, like, your process of when you go to create these films. Like, do you just like sit and you're like, okay, I want to brainstorm on this one in particular, or is it like, are you like walking or you're somewhere and you get this idea and then you like write it down and then all the ideas start to go?
It depends. If I'm watching a movie, some random things come in my head, like it's a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
And then a girl's wearing like a red dress. So I like to mix things that don't match. So something that's nice with something that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have a person that's wearing a nice suit in a destroyed environment.
That contrast.
So I like the contrast, just to make people kind of just like thrown off. So I did something interesting in the movie Infliction where her nightmares, I made the most colorful thing you've ever seen. So it was like red, purple, there was blue. Those very poppy colors that were really colorful, but it was her nightmare. So her nightmares are colorful, but the content of the nightmare wasn't so happy.
Interesting. That's
so
cool.
So adding elements like that kind of helps kind of scope the story.
Yeah.
And I like to switch those. So if I see something that's cool, like, all right, so maybe the character has a helmet and that helmet is meant to protect them. But what if the helmet that they put on is like this this AI that makes you do things you don't want to do?
That's
You
cool.
know, like
Something
that protects you is the complete opposite.
Yeah, I love that. I love that a lot. It's cool because it gives it like a completely different like expectation. Like it's completely different than what you would expect it to be, and it's different than like, you know, how you would imagine it to be, you know? It's like those little mini like curveballs sort of thrown in there that make it memorable. Like you were saying before, like remembering the character and like remembering what the character is all about and why they do these specific things and, you know, what is in their way. Like I love that. I think that's so good.
Yeah, because and like I said, like to bring up the example of the horror thing, you know why she's fighting.
Yeah.
Because she's not fighting for herself.
Yeah.
You're rooting for her because you want her to get her brother or dog. So I had it where it was either custody over her dog or brother, but it's like you want her to win because you want her to get that thing that she loves because that's important.
Exactly.
You know, you see that you have to show their integrity in the beginning. Like you see that they're a good person, so you want them to win, and that's why like the movie Invisible Man was crazy because people have been in abusive relationship. So at the end of that movie, you want them to get their revenge at the end.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much how you kind of want to take the direction. Like you're sitting in the seat and like, you know, you want to get to that end, but you want to feel good about it, you know? But if you don't have that feeling like, all right, what do they want? It leaves you empty. And that's when I think about stories that I'm trying to create, I sit down intensely and think, what do they want? And like really, why do they want? Like you could want to be, you know, a clown, but why do you want to be the clown? Why do you want to be the best clown? There has to be a reason for that. And then those are the two main questions, and then everything else is a little easier in terms of what happens if they don't get it or the obstacles are thrown in the way. But watching that video that I saw changed my whole perspective on how I crafted. And like I said, I'll send you the video.
Yeah, I want to watch it.
It was like I think it was like 45 minutes to like an hour long. And I'm saying to myself, like, no one's watched this video. That was years ago.
And it gets buried though too, right? Like when years ago and like people aren't like, maybe that's crazy. I don't know how that happens. Because then you get like all these like random videos like that have like millions of views and you're like, it's like a blue dot in the middle of the screen. It's got like 50 million views, and you're like, okay, you know what I mean? Like it's just something random, like so
and it's
random.
wild. And the fact that Will Smith was on there, that's the part that had me. I'm like, yo, literally Will Smith is on this video with this girl doing an interview, and it only has it's under 1 million. And it's because the content was like story writing. So I guess it wasn't a film, it wasn't about a movie.
Though.
Yeah, more niche on like what are you watching this video for? And I guess that's why I kind of got thrown under. But she didn't really put like Will Smith really at the in the title. So if you didn't know, it was like a happy surprise.
Interesting. I wonder why you wouldn't, like most people would like maximize on that. You know what I mean? Most people would be like, look who's on my video. Look who's on my show, you know?
She played so calm. Like you could see her like just kind of like she knew it was coming, but I'm sure she prepped before that, like, oh my God, Will Smith.
Yeah, like, oh my God, I better not mess up. Oh, I would too. I was interviewing someone on my podcast, and I was there's been a couple people that I've been like nervous to like interview, and I'm like, oh my God, and then you get onto it and you're like, okay, it's all fine, you know what I mean? But the before, you know that feeling? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Right? You know, because you have your show too.
A lot of models or actors that I've worked with. So it's just like you ever see Dawson's Creek?
Yep.
I did an interview with the father.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yep. And so this is how it happened. I went at Comic-Con and I interviewed, I was with my friend and they came up to us and they said, hey, are you doing interviews? Like, yeah. So we have film. You want to interview us? Like, yeah, absolutely. So I interviewed them because that was the year I said, I'm not going to do pictures really. I'm going to do mostly video. Yeah. And then that was the time they said, oh yeah, hey, I love the energy. We're actually doing an opening and, the father in the Flash, the moment he said father in the Flash, my brain just went haywire. And he's like, yeah, he's going to be at the red carpet and whatnot. And I lost it. And then when I finally got there, like when the day came to, because I didn't think it was going to happen, it happened. It was a red carpet event. And then he was there. And I was like, oh my God. And he just got there too by the time I got there. And I thought it was going to be late. And then he showed up and I was able to get the first interview.
Wow.
That happened. Yep.
That's so cool.
Yep. I have it's on my YouTube and I had my best friend interview him. And that was for his birthday.
That's
so
cool.
His birthday present was him interviewing him.
That's amazing. You're such a good friend. Happy birthday to you. You get to interview and do this cool interview.
Right? That's I was amazing. So mad, like, damn, I wish I could have done it because he didn't really know who he was at first.
Right? And you're like, but I want to do this interview so bad.
I want to do this interview. Oh my God.
I love it.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. So like stuff like that, those are awesome moments to have.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I would love to ask you, this last question is the question that I ask all of my guests when they come on the show. And it's, how can you create a little bit, how could someone create a little more happiness every day? Oh my God, I'm really butchering this question. I ask it all the time. How could someone create a little more happiness in their day every day starting today? There we go. Woo!
How can they create a little more happiness in life? How can you create a little more happiness? I would say self-love. Like, I think looking in the mirror and saying that I love you is a great step in terms of spreading love around the world. Like, I think I told this to my lady. I was like, oh, look in the mirror and say I'm proud of you, but you're looking at yourself saying I'm proud of you. And then she was like, she was like hesitant, like she didn't know like how to respond to that, like what am I? And then she said, like, which was hurt. It's like, what am I proud of? I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Anything.
Like, she said, but I didn't do anything though. It doesn't matter, because it's easier to have that dismissive thought than it is to have that encouraging thought. So if you could do this, a few minutes of the day, just all it takes is you just stand in front of the mirror and just say, look at yourself and say, I'm proud of you. That will change your whole mood.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I think people either say I'm proud of you or I love you, and I think see the reaction on people's face, they're thinking of like them looking at themselves in the mirror, like, yo, like, why is it difficult for me to say I love you?
What's blocking?
What's blocking? And it
Yeah.
makes you think about it. And I feel like if more people did that, I think it would be easier for them to spread love across the world and be more happy within themselves, and then to share that happiness with others.
I completely agree with that. I love that, Zain. That's such a good tip. I love that. That's a really hard thing to do. So I love that you said that.
Yep. I thought about it. I'm like, yo, I'm like, why? Because like it just thinking about it, I'm like, wait, why is it difficult for me to do that? So I said, let me start doing that myself.
Yeah.
You know, just looking at yourself. Because I if I wanted to get deeper, I'm like, yo, you ever just look in the mirror and just look at yourself? Not looking at your clothes, just looking at yourself in your eyes. Like you could see.
It's
like,
crazy.
You can't bullshit yourself.
It's crazy. It's such a wild experience. Have you ever done that, like looking into someone else's eyes though? Like staring?
Yeah, I do it all the time. And it's easier for me to be more empathic with them because I can see whether they're bullshitting or not.
Yeah.
Just by looking in their eyes. I can tell if they're sad, happy, this, that, and third. So when I don't try to look in people's eyes too much because they sometimes my eyes come off as stabbing, but it's really not. But like when I do look at people, I could see just in a few minutes of looking in their eyes, I'm like, wow, like you need a hug. Let me just give you a hug.
Like bring it in, come like
bring
come
it
here. I'm proud of you. Oh, I love it. Zain, where can our listeners find you? Because I know they're gonna want to connect with you and learn more.
Oh yes, you could find me on Instagram at I Am Zain Magazine, as well as I Am Zain Studios on Instagram. I have a Twitter, which is I Am Zain Magazine. I've been kind of talking more political in terms of the injustices going on my Twitter, and then on my Instagram is more like images that I have.
Yeah.
And that's where you can find me. And then also YouTube. You can find me, watch my short films on I Am Studios. That's my YouTube. I Am Zain Studios on my YouTube channel.
I love that. Thank you so much, Zain, for coming on the show. I'm going to have you back because I think there's still so much more that we could talk about.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much more we could talk about. I love it. But honestly, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. I always love connecting with you, and I always love talking with you. And I think that you are just like this really bright light of everything. Like you have so much passion and purpose and energy and kindness, and I'm so grateful that you came onto the show today. I love it.
Thank you. You just made me feel extra happy.
Oh. It is the Happiness Happens podcast, so I feel like that's you got to leave here feeling happy, because if you don't, then I have failed as a host. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
Thank you again so much, Zain, and we will do this again. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this week's episode on the podcast. I hope you love this one as much as I did. Please go back to the start and rewatch. If you're watching on YouTube, rewatch it on YouTube or re-listen to it again, because there are so many good things in here and so many good tips of just how you can really take your passions and just go with it. And I think that that's so important. And if you're listening or watching, tell us, tag us, let us know what you loved, and start that conversation. We want to hear from you. So I hope you have a beautiful day, beautiful week, and remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it.
Thanks so much for being here today. I hope these words have brought you inspiration, insight, and a bit more happiness. Please leave a comment or a review if this episode resonates with you. I would be so grateful. Until next time, remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it.